Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another session of Canvas Live. Canvas Live sessions are presented by the Canvas community members or Instructure employees to help Canvas users improve and enhance their teaching and learning with Canvas. Today we have the amazing Erin Hallmark. She's our documentation manager, and today she's going to talk to us about Canvas guides, or the guides in total, actually. We did a revamp of the guides, and she's going to talk about sort of the process and how that resulted and what came out of that process. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. Welcome to Canvas Live, Erin.
Thanks, Birai. Happy to be here. Thanks to all of you who are joining us on this Canvas Live as well. Really excited to show you a little bit about what we've been doing behind the scenes to improve the guides. So what we're going to do today is a couple of things. I'm going to give you a brief history of the guides. We're going to talk about the changes that we made recently to the guide space and the individual lessons, which is why I know you are all here. And if we have time, we'll see if we have questions at the end. We actually, when I was building these out, there's a lot of material. So this will be pretty fun. Hang in here with me, and thanks again for joining me. Okay, so let me take you down a little bit of memory lane here with us. When I started at Instructure at the end of 2012, the community homepage looked like this. It was gorgeous, right? Thank you, Seth, for modeling this homepage. We're lucky to have any pictures of the really old community here. This was way before any of us thought to take any screenshots for posterity, so it's kind of good that we have any of these images that we can look back and reflect on. The guides page itself was just a tab that we accessed from the community at the top. And in 2012, we only had one product, and it was Canvas. And the guide headings were Getting Started, Canvas Guides, and the video tutorials. So pretty simple and nothing fancy. Okay, so in 2014, we got a beautiful new community that allowed us to integrate the guides in a way that let us highlight them a little bit better. So this is that view. We had a little bit more work that we could do, but this was definitely a step up from what we had before. And then in 2015, our page evolved again. And this is the same way that the page has looked like up until a month ago. We added ARC, and mobile was there already, catalog was there, but you can see there's a lot going on this page. So if we've evolved this much so far, think about what Instructure will look like in a few more years, and that's kind of exciting. So in 2016, we wanted to make sure we were still going in the right direction with the guide site. So we created a survey and we posted it in the community, and we realized that filling out surveys is really time consuming, so we decided to offer community badges and praise and points and chances to win Amazon gift cards if people would participate. So we were really fortunate to have some really good responses from our community users. And it may not look like we had a ton of responses, but the quality of information we received was absolutely phenomenal. And we learned some pretty basic things about our community members that also helped us out significantly. So another disclaimer on this, as I said, the survey was from last year. It was from last September. So we are aware that the community has continued to grow, but we are basing a lot of the information that we learned about this survey to help us improve what needs to be worked on and the key elements that have taken the guides to where we are today. So from the survey, we learned that the primary role of those who visit the guides are admins, followed by instructors and course designers. And we pretty much knew that, but for a while we were kind of iffy on exactly who our audience was. So this helps us be able to pinpoint that a little bit better. We also learned that the time that most users have spent in Canvas is less than 1 year. So now that those users have been in Canvas for 8 months longer, you're all pros, right? And then 20% said that you have used Canvas for at least 1 or 2 years. So that was pretty cool for us to learn. In terms of site visits, we asked some questions about why you visit the guides. We learned that a lot of people spend time reading the guides followed by watching videos. The other option as part of that question was asking if you'd rather learn about Canvas by watching someone else. So these responses definitely emphasize that our customers are self-serving and they find their own answers quickly. And then the majority of users said that the primary reason to visit the guides was to learn about specific Canvas functionality. And only a small number said they were coming to learn about something in Canvas that confused them, which generally means, at least we think, that we're doing things right, and the majority of our users are just, they can find what they need in the guides. And then for fun, we threw in a question about how respondents leave feedback, or how the respondents who took the survey leave feedback about Canvas features. And this was related to the release notes as well, but it also does relate to community. And we know that everyone has their preferred method for feedback, so not all opinions in the community naturally represent all Canvas users. So we get feedback in the guides, but we also get it from tickets that support sends us and also notes from customer success managers. And I'm not entirely sure what the other category was. I do know some people have used Twitter to message us sometimes and say, hey, you guys should fix this thing. So maybe the other category represents social media or maybe smoke signals or something. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so we read every single piece of feedback that we received on this survey, and we grouped them into topics. And obviously the guides and the guide space were areas that we needed to address and came up pretty frequently. So in no particular order, here are what we learned that we needed to do with the guide space. So first we needed to simplify the space and give a cleaner look. We were told that it was intimidating to users and hard for new users to know where to begin. And the page had a lot of buttons and links, which we realized as well. We learned that user roles are still important to people, and we need to help everyone be able to tell which lessons apply to a user role more quickly. And we also learned that next and previous links go a long way. So as some of you know, we have a standalone guide site, and it has these next and previous links. And we specifically got a comment that said the next and previous links are beneficial, especially for users and instructors who want to be able to read the manual, quote unquote, or when I want to share a series of lessons. So as I noted before, there are a lot more comments we received, and we have enough feedback to last us for quite a while, which is good news to the rest of you because it means you can continue to see improvements for us. And if any of you watched the State of the Canvas Community Canvas Live that we had a few months ago, you can remember that I talked about a lot of the things that we still want to work on. And some of this stuff takes time, but we are excited to do what we can when that is a possibility. So this is one of those things we have been able to do. So there's one last detail I need to go into before continuing on here. It's a small housekeeping matter really, but I'm referencing this information because I'm going to continually be using certain terms, and I want to make sure everyone is on the same page with me for the rest of this session. So I have learned that the documentation team has some terminology confusion with some of you on how we all refer to the guides. So to clarify my meaning, when I say what is a guide, I'm talking about a guide basically referring to a book, or being an entire collection of instructions. A guide is also referred to as a manual. So Google, in all its infinite wisdom, gave me some definitions to back up these statements. If you want to think about a guide another way, it's the entire stack of paper you'd use to print the entire collection of instructions relating to instructors. Fun fact of the day, this picture was taken in 2013 and sent to us by somebody in the community. As of today, it would take 5.5 reams of paper to print this thing. So I don't recommend doing that. And on the other side, what is a lesson? Some of you I know talk about a guide as like an individual piece of content, and our team refers to content items as lessons, though sometimes they can be referred to as articles. Again, if you want another visual, I'm referencing a specific item within the guide as a whole. So it would just be like one of these content items within the table of contents. And another fun fact, the instructor guide contains 536 of them. Okay, so let's jump in to our main event, the guide space changes. So let's go back to what that image is of what the guide site used to look like. This is the before, and take a long, hard look at this image because you will never see it again. But I promise you won't miss it. So if you go to the guide site now, this is the page that you will see, and you'll notice that it doesn't look that different, but there are some definite changes here. Ultimately, we wanted to keep this page looking the same as it did before, so it's not significantly different to anyone. And that was kind of our main goal while cleaning it up. So the first thing that you may notice is that the site is called the guides instead of the Canvas guides. So why does this matter? Well, first we wanted to simplify the way that you interact with the Canvas guides. So the name was a great place to start. The terminology change helps everyone know that all the instructor guides live in this space. And there are more guides than just the Canvas ones. So now when we talk about the Canvas guides, we are specifically referring to the guides related to the Canvas product. Okay, so a couple of other changes on here. You'll still notice that we have some links, but there are fewer links than before. And the links are more of general links about the guides. We also have links to places on the right side related to the guides. And then we also provide a quick reference to the web browsers that are supported by Instructure products in this list. One new link we've included in the guides on the left sidebar is the guides use license. And for those of you who are creating custom documentation, we get questions quite a bit about how to properly credit the guides. And so we created this document to help you out with that. And this link to view the guides use license is in each subspace for each product to always give a quick reference on how to credit content from the guides. And I'll talk about all of that in just a minute. Okay, so we still, here we go. So we still have some buttons on this page, but there are fewer than before, obviously, and they're grouped by product. And the beauty of this now is that each product has its own subspace. And one reason that we made this change is for scalability. You noticed in the previous image there were a lot of buttons with a lot of products. We need a better way to organize products to allow for additional growth in the future. For instance, you may notice that all the little icons that used to be on the page for each mobile app are not here anymore. But I promise they are here. They're just housed behind the button that says the mobile guides. And additionally, all buttons in each subspace are responsive, so they look really nice on any browser size and resolution and adjust accordingly. And as a bonus, to help you more easily access each subspace, each guide opens as a new tab in your browser window. So just as a quick recap here, you can find the guides for Instructure's products, which are Canvas, Commons, ARC, Catalog, and Mobile. And we still have our video guide, which includes all videos for any product that has a video. That's why we still have the video guide there. And now we have an easy link to access the community guide, which shows all of you how to use the features available within the Canvas community itself. So one of the changes that I've been asked here is what happened with the links, or the URLs, sorry, since we had to do some shifting and organizing with the lessons and the guides themselves. Everything is working great, so there are no problems there. I can talk a little bit more about that later, but I think at this point, if there were any URLs that weren't working or redirecting or being not nice, we have fixed those, and all of that has been resolved. So I consider that to be a good thing. Okay, so you still see the search widget in the guide space, which is the same, and you can search for any lesson in any guide here, which means you don't have to visit a specific product subspace if you don't want to. And you also may notice that the Getting Started button is no longer included in the guide space, and I'll talk about that in just a second as to why. So I mentioned that each product has its own subspace, And we've designed two types of subspaces. We have individual products and multiple products. And each subspace is designed according to the needs of the product. So for instance, let's look at the catalog guide. The catalog is treated as an individual product because it's one product and it only has one guide in it. So to view the catalog guide, you would click the catalog guide button. And subspaces that only have one guide are shown in a two-column layout. So the main column displays the table of contents for the guide directly on the page. And the design doesn't have a search widget because the content is generally short enough that searching isn't a significant problem, we found. The sidebar contains those 4 general guide links that I mentioned earlier in the guide space as well. Related places and related content. So related places are usually community groups or release notes related to that product. And related content may exist in another guide, the main guide site, or elsewhere in the community. But basically, we've included it here as a quick reference related to the product as well. Okay, if you do need to search content more specifically in an individual product space, you can still use the content link. The content link lets you filter the content in the subspace by action, text, tag, or latest activity. Some of you prefer to search this way, so this option is still here. You don't have to worry about that being gone. Another benefit of subspaces is that you can individually follow a subspace and get information related to that subspace. So if you want to follow all the updates for a specific product and not another product, you can follow that subspace and do that now. Previously, you had to follow the whole entire guide space and you would have gotten updates for every product, whether or not you wanted those updates or not. So this change helps you guys focus on the information that you want to receive. That you can know what's going on in the subspace. If you don't want to follow it, you can view recent activity by clicking the activity link, and that will show you the last time guides were updated and whatnot. So let's look at a subspace now that contains multiple products and multiple guide content. So we currently have 2 of these, and they are prominently mobile and Canvas. So let's start with mobile. So now when you click the mobile guides button, you will see a design similar to the main guide space, including a general search widget. And the main window includes individual mobile product buttons like you saw previously in the original guides, and showing all the icons for each app. And we haven't changed the functionality of how these work, except for Magic Marker, which obviously only works in iPad. Each app button still opens to a document containing the table of contents links for both the iOS and Android version of that app. And then on this page, we have a new idea where we are creating a button for a product that is coming. So you can notice that we have a placeholder for the teacher app that will take you to the focus group if you're interested in participating or learning more about the teacher app. So the page design here only includes one sidebar with the general guides links and places related to mobile. And the related content links are below the table of content buttons here. Again, the related content usually originates in other guides, so we've added the links here as a quick reference. So let's go back to the guide space and review the Canvas subspace. So when you click the Canvas Guides button, you will see a similar design as we saw in the mobile subspace, with a few additional adjustments. And Canvas is obviously our most referenced product. That's why I left the best for last, right? And again, we wanted to add some enhancements without significantly altering the look of the page. So one difference that you will see here that is not in any other subspace is the list of supported web browsers. Each subspace has a link to view the supported browsers, assuming that the product has web browsers to support, so you won't find that link in mobile, obviously. But in Canvas, we've learned over time that users are very passionate about being able to view the actual list of browsers. So in the Canvas subspace, we have included a special sidebar section that always lists the current browsers here. Another thing that you will notice is that we have a new guide for Canvas. It's called Canvas Basics. So the Canvas guides are still organized by user role, but we've created this guide which does exactly what it says, and it explains the basics of Canvas. It consists of all of the general informational lessons that used to be shared between user roles, such as what is conversations and what is SpeedGrader. These are lessons that any user can read and learn about the basic functionality of Canvas, and that answers the what and the why questions of a feature. So we've gotten really great feedback about the creation of this guide so far, and we realize we still have some improvements to make, specifically relating to linking the information back to the how question of each feature. So for instance, once you know what assignments are by reading the Canvas Basics guide, your next question will be, well, how do I enable assignments or whatnot? So phase 2 for us is to go back and associate each lesson in the Canvas Basics guide with the related chapter links back into each role-based guide. So that will be coming soon. The last major change on this page relates to the Get Started button that I talked about before. And this button may look familiar to you, but behind this button is an entirely new experience in the Canvas community. We wanted to improve the experience for new Canvas users based on feedback, of course, and this is the only subspace, the Canvas subspace is the only subspace that includes a Get Start button, because Canvas is naturally the only product that basically mandates an onboarding experience. So we have tried to build a tailored experience based on that. So when you click that button, it's now tailored to 3 user roles: admin, instructor, and student. There's really not enough content in the Observer Guide right now to merit a Getting Started space for observers. So we just have these 3 user roles. And it does have an overview page, which includes easy access to each area. But you can also access them easily just as a page link in the top menu bar. And all the Getting Started pages include short information about the available content at the top to help users get oriented and learn how to learn more, basically. So the main section here includes some quick reference links to the frequently viewed questions. And this is an example from the admin guide. This is the admin Getting Started page. So these lessons have been pulled from the admin guide, and they're pretty easy to reference, and they'll link over back to the admin guide for quick reference. And we also include quick reference links to related lessons in Canvas Basics guide that specifically relate to that user role. And not shown in this image, they can scroll a little bit further and they can view the top viewed videos for their user role as well. So we hope that these new pages will be a great resource to new Canvas users. And last but not least, I mentioned that there were some changes that benefit individual lessons within a guide. So over the last few months, you may have noticed that we've been making title changes to individual lessons. The title changes are primarily to help differentiate between user roles. So for instance, lessons like how do I use the dashboard used to be shared between the student and the instructor guide. So it contained information for both user roles. So now we've essentially copied that lesson and turned it into 2 versions, one for students and one for instructor, so that they are more clearly defined by user role. And adding the user role to the title also helps more easily identify lessons when you are searching from another area in the community, such as in the global search. You can put in a couple of different terms, but you'll get a little more specific search results. This image was used, I took this using the global search in the Canvas guide space, but the same principle applies and definitely helps you be able to find content more easily and differentiates by user role. Our survey told us that some of you read the descriptions of lessons, and some of you didn't even know that lessons had descriptions. The lesson description usually includes the what and the why about a feature. And as a side note, if it doesn't, we're working to improve those too. That's just something else that we have that we want to be working on as well. Also feedback from you guys. So the description of each lesson is now outlined in a blue box. So that will help differentiate the description from the rest of the lesson. I previously mentioned that the guides are integrated into the community. And so that means that we have a custom integration for our documentation software to be working into the community. And sometimes with integrations, we have things that come up and we have to make some adjustments. So I wanted to let you all know one element that we are working to change right now is to change the text color in the description. So we know the blue text with the blue background is really pretty, but it doesn't do much for our friends who rely on accessibility. So we are working on that, and we hope to have that text color updated soon. And then at the bottom of each lesson, you will find that we have next and previous links. So within each chapter, we've tried to arrange the lessons in a logical order. And that is twofold. One, it helps those of you who prefer to view one lesson right after another. But then down here and the next and previous links, it creates a really good sequence so that you can try to view one after another as part of the next and previous links. Decided to make these available. Below the next and previous links, you can easily view what chapter you are viewing as well. And you can return to the table of contents for the guide you're viewing if you need to by clicking the table of contents link. Okay, I made it, and we have a couple of minutes. So let me check. Does anyone have any questions in the chat that I have not seen yet and who would like me to address?
So far, the comments have been pretty positive, Erin. Everyone has sort of been following along kind of with the changes and echoing the sentiment of what a refreshing change it is, and it'll make it easier for them to find the guides that they need and things like that. So if you do have any questions, please go ahead and post them in the chat, and that would be great, and Erin can answer them directly.
Okay. Yeah, and I also will take comments and thoughts anytime back in the blog post that relates to this Canvas Live session. You can leave a comment in there, and we're more than happy to get back to you. You can also leave comments at any time as well in any lesson at the bottom. If you're not familiar with being able to submit a comment, you can leave a comment there, and one of my wonderful team members will respond to you and get back as well. Okay.
Great. That's great. Thank you. It doesn't look like there are any questions coming in, but again, Erin's always available, and her team as well is always available in the community. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. Go ahead to the next slide, Erin.
Okay. Oh.
Anyway, thank you so much, Erin, for giving us an overview of the Canvas, of the guides, formerly the Canvas guides, but of the guides. This was really great. An overview. It was always very helpful to kind of reorient everybody in the community as we go through some changes. Great work. Kudos to you and your team. You guys did a fabulous job. We just wanted to reiterate to continue to stay involved in Canvas Live. Always go to live.canvaslms.com to follow any upcoming events that we have. Once you click the follow button, you'll be notified of upcoming events. We have a Canvas Live user group. We're always kind of collaborating in there for new events. So if you want to participate in being part of panel discussions, or you want to co-present with some community members, that would be the place to collaborate. And then, of course, hang out in our Canvas chat rooms. If you have any questions, there's a lot of community members in there kind of in real time that can answer questions as well. Thank you once again, Erin, for sharing your afternoon with us, and thanks everybody for being here.